Hey everyone, welcome back to the Staten Island Express, right Keith?
Oh man, this is worse.
This is Super Saturday, and we have a special car to diagnose. A guy about 10 minutes from our conference center. So this is after the conference, and we have a beached whale Infinity G35 low mile with, I told Keith about this car. What'd you say, Keith?
BCM was wet. Maybe because it's always wet.
Wet BCM, so it intermittently ran and then stopped running. So we have some special guests today. We got Keith Perkins, Keith DeFazio. So with two Keiths, I think this car will run today. There's no way around it. Cross your fingers. So the issue here, the original BCM, and I already closed it up, but it was completely smoked. There were fried chips in here. So what would Eric say? You can put a fork in it. Like, it was toasty.
It's the Moroccan BCM.
Right. We got some chips in there. And at the conference, the EEPROM guys, Ira, Tim, and Mike, they were able to take one of the spare BCMs that the customer provided. We have two spare BCMs that are not cooked. Read the MCU chip, like the EEPROM data. And there's two options here, right, Keith?
Yes, absolutely.
So option number one we're going to try right now is what? Using just the scanner to try to sync the BCM, do the Immobilizer?
That's what we're going to be doing here, and trying to get the Nats to actually accept the new key.
Okay.
It's maybe not as hopeful as we would want, but
What, 50-50 you think?
Well,
maybe not?
Yeah.
Okay. What about your odds, Keith?
Yeah, my concerns are still currently wet connectors, a unknown aftermarket key along with an unknown OEM key, so we might want to start with checking the keys after we confirm putting the BCM in doesn't make another smoke bomb.
Keith, do you need an umbrella in there?
It is raining inside of this.
It is raining inside.
Yeah, it is very wet in here.
The humidity's up a little bit in here.
Yeah. I mean, it's still wet on the floor. So the number one concern is if we plug in this replacement BCM, we don't want to cook it like, you know, what causes it to short out? Obviously water intrusion, but was it just on board level? Like, the connector looks a little green there, but not terrible. There's a lot of green on this one right here, the bottom black one. So we're gonna take some deoxit, try to clean this mess up, plug in the replacement BCM, and see what happens. So cross your fingers. Alright, we got a little magic in a can. I'm going to spray out these connectors and then check main powers and grounds. Cross your fingers. Oh, this one definitely has a little bit. The crusty's going on. Junction connector. See, I was worried about stuff like this, where you have a big green spot bridging the pins. That's a red flag. We gotta clean that up and see what happens. Okay, so we checked the main constant battery powers and grounds. There's like 4 powers, a couple grounds. Everything checks out. So are we ready to plug in the replacement BCM, Keith?
I think so.
Okay.
I feel safer about it that we're not about to make a unintentional smoke machine.
Okay. So we'll plug it in, and then what do you expect? Should the key like at least blink or something?
We'll get some, as long as battery voltage is good and we've got good supply, I think we're going to get some dee-dee-dee-dee Nissan sounds and a dash indication for either key not detected or depressed brake to start.
Okay, that's the hope. Something's going to come back to life.
Yep.
All right, so this connector,
circuit, there's no way it would.
Yeah, it looks a little nasty in here, and you want to see which wire formed the green crusty. So this red one is hot at all times, and which one did it bridge to? This light green one on the corner. And where does that go? Well, that's pin 4, and that feeds all of the illumination inside. We got trunk room lamp, vanity lights, and some of these are controlled by the BCM, so that could have been like a little parasitic drain, but nothing that would cook the BCM, right? So we'll clean that up and plug it in. Alright, so we're plugging the connectors in one by one, and this BCM was installed here when we got to the car, but obviously didn't do anything because it was immobilized. So if any smoke's going to come out of this thing, is going to be when the ignition is actually turned on. So this is the main power. No popping, smoking yet.
All the interior lights are still on.
Interior lights are on, okay. And does anything happen when we push the button?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We don't really know battery voltage. Those interior lights are,
yeah,
those are frosted covers, so they can be really dim.
We can throw some jumper cables on here. So right now, no action at all.
Yeah, I think with the lights not dimming when we're doing anything, I don't think it's a battery voltage issue.
Now, let's just make sure the button works. And the button here is wired right to the BCM engine switch M122 pin 89 brown. So I'm going to put a test light on there from battery positive, and when Keith presses the button, we'll see if the test light lights up. At least check circuit integrity to the button. Alright, test light from battery positive. If it finds the ground, it's going to light up, and this little brown wire goes to the button, and then it's pulled down to ground. So go ahead, Keith, push the button.
Depressing. Nothing.
Let me make sure the contact is good.
Also, all this trim around here has been off the car, still kind of loose.
Interesting.
Someone's had some lower.
So we have to investigate why the button's not doing anything. All right, Keith. So what would be your next check? You said we got nothing on the cluster, right?
In fact, there's no button illumination. I know most of the time you'd think to chase the button, but I think we're missing just a big major power input somewhere. Probably IPDM, honestly. We're probably going to do some. We're probably going to find a blown fuse somewhere.
Okay. Well, that sounds powers and grounds right now. That's still the focus, to get something working.
Yeah.
All right. So we know the button circuit is not continuous, open, whatever. So we're going to use a test light and be the button. So I have the test light grounded. If it finds the power, make sure a test light is yes. See, it lights up. So let's just touch that brown wire and see if anything happens. This is kind of the test of go or no go. So, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Test light's not lighting. No response. All right, let me put a meter on there. So that wire should be hot at all times, because otherwise you wouldn't have an input.
Yeah, it's a pull-down circuit.
It's a pull-down circuit.
You have to have.
Yeah, let's measure the voltage on there. Everything else is plugged in. We check powers and grounds to the BCM, so I don't know.
A supplemental pack.
Okay, so voltmeter showing 11 volts on the wire going to the button, waiting to be pulled down the ground. When we pull that down, so the car, if the keys aren't programmed, Keith, what should the button do? Should it like at least blink or something?
Yeah, it'll blink. We should have illumination now because the door's open.
On the cluster.
On the cluster and on the button. There should be...
Oh, it should like light up a little ring?
LED inside the button. It should be illuminated. We should have a lock light that's on. All of that's dead. The whole entire dash.
Okay.
No illumination, no lights, no sounds, no noises, no dingers, nothing.
So we should look up a diagram for what, button illumination and cluster.
This battery
wake up.
cable is so loose I could just pull it off.
Oh yeah, that's normal. We got 11 volts, we're good. Okay, we'll see. What's the next on the menu here, Keith? more
visual
inspection.
inspection. Find that there's a IPDM that on the cover it says Infiniti G35X07, and that's not what this car is. So
no, so 1 year off, and
yeah,
and you can't. These IPDMs, they're generally not just plug and play.
No,
right?
no, they're not. And then this one's been heavily.
Someone's been doing the little pokey.
Yeah, well, with something.
Yeah,
I'd like to see the tool because it's caused some. Yeah,
a really heavy duty test light.
Yeah, big one, lighted ice pick. So. Yeah, we're probably going to get this out of here and put most likely the OG back in.
Okay, we can take the battery out. I can charge it from my truck, and we'll put this IPDM in, and yeah, nice and loose.
Nice.
Okay. So Keith discovered something interesting.
Yeah, you haven't seen it yet. So just take note of like 30, 10, 15, 20, 15. There's all the fuse slots are populated. We have a typical IPDM type integrated.
Trying to get those relays out.
And look at what we got in the car. So we got some electrical tape holding the housing on this one. We're missing a fuse. We've got slightly different denominations of fuses, and it looks like there's been some checkage with who knows what kind of action.
Yeah, at least they put electrical tape on it.
Yeah.
You got reseal connectors up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Wires, if you poke them. So what do you think? Just plug?
I say we put this original IPDM back in and see if anything changes at all.
Yeah, that's a good step. All right, so the supposedly original IPDM is plugged in. Battery's a little more charged up. Still nothing.
Still nothing.
We plugged in the steering lock. Does the horn work? Yay. Oh yeah, we got lock.
Hey, that was more than what we had before.
Okay. Okay, so we got lock and we got a key in the key fob.
I put a key in there.
Okay, now push to hold the button.
Pushing and holding.
Yeah, so the button circuit's definitely bad. So I'm gonna manually now pull that down with a test light, and then we'll see if the status changes on the button. Ready?
Yep. Hey, we've got key light on instrument cluster, but nothing else.
Okay, we got key.
And it went off. So.
Okay, we're still in lock, right? So it's not going to shift to accessory if the key is wrong, correct?
It should shift to accessory. Well, it is a push button start car. Probably should attempt to get it into registration mode, but without the button, we're gonna have to do something.
Yeah, we'll do the manual test light for the button. That's fine.
Yeah.
So you think the scanner now should be able to talk to the BCM?
It should talk to the BCM and the IPDM. Yeah.
The scanner time then.
If we put it in registration mode, we should be able to key it on.
All right, now Keith will take it from here. He's the programming guy. All right, so we have the button unplugged, and the button looks like it's seen better days. Someone's been messing with it. We want to check wiring integrity on that brown wire to here, to the connector. So on the voltmeter, it'll drop down if Keith pulls that brown wire down with a test light.
Typically I wouldn't do this, but there's already, someone's made easy access hole for me. So if I go and touch the hole they've already made, let me see, and there we go.
Perfect. So the wire's good, the button is not good.
It's damaged. Yeah.
Now what other, there's a whole bunch of wires that go into here. It's like a smart button with the, you know.
There's a bunch of illumination circuits for the button, actually. There should be just one actual pull-down circuit that is a momentary switch to ground when depressed, back to the BCM, and then there's a bunch of lighting circuits for a lock, accessory on, and an illumination LED. Okay,
and we saw the lock, it does work. And then when the key's in the slot, it says key in the dash, so obviously it doesn't know the key. So it's promising.
Damaged button, most likely customer or previous trier induced issue.
If it doesn't start, it's got to be the button, right?
Right. And it's got to be the BCM, and it's got to be the IPDM, and it's got to be the steering lock, which was also unlocked.
Yeah, the steering lock was, that was the steering. It's unlocked. Okay.
Did you plug it back in already?
Plug it back in, and when you push the button, the voltmeter stays high.
Yep.
So the button's
the momentary, and it's just a momentary switch that's inside of it.
Right.
Which usually means if I depress it and articulate, it would probably do it, but it's not. I mean,
let's not make it worse than it already is.
Yeah.
So we'll just use the manual test light method to pull that down when we need to.
Yeah.
What's the next step? Scanner. Okay, so we're getting somewhere with the Think Tool Pros. So how many modules online here? 4?
Yeah.
IPDM doesn't like ignition relay on, ignition relay off. SL, what's SL?
Steering lock.
Steering lock, re-ray.
And the state switch, which the steering lock was unplugged, so it may have had a steering lock on for a while.
And to get this car back online and program keys, we're going to do BCM NATs. Is that where we're going to go? Like,
yeah, well, the problem is it's still not going to start because of steering lock code. So the steering lock, there's a little...
so see, it says passed. Should we just go in there and clear them out?
Oh yeah, maybe it read that DTC when you had when
we were doing a manual manual bypass. Okay, let's see, IPDM, read codes, and no DTCs detected currently.
Okay, we did hook everything back up, put the original IPDM back in.
Supposedly original.
Supposedly, what seemed to be the most likely to be the original of what was in the car.
So what now? BCM, and it says. Is it a 304 and an 802? 304 802. Where do you get those numbers?
That's a great question that I have not encountered before.
I just choose one?
That sounds like a good option.
If in doubt, just click stuff.
Yeah.
Read fault code, no DTCs detected. Data stream. Where's the theft?
Yeah.
Or Immobilizer, Immo.
Should say Immo, key, or intelligent key. Yeah, maybe probably under intelligent key.
Intelligent key. All signals. Select all. Okay.
Accessory relay off. Brake switch on.
Brake switch 1 on. Brake switch 2 off. So when you press the brake, or just press the brake real quick.
Swap, which will be important for us.
Ooh, brake switch 2 went on. Brake switch 1 stuck on.
So we have probably a faulty brake switch as well, or at least a circuit that's got water in it that's
okay.
purging it is on.
Detection switch IPDM. Okay. Ignition relay off. Yep. Relay 2's off. Permit engine start. Marquee push switch is off.
Key switch slot says off. Let me input the key into the key switch.
Okay.
Because there's a slot on this car. Does it change?
Where was that? Key switch on. Yes.
Okay.
Slot
so the
on.
slot does detect the key inside.
Good. And that's when we see the little key icon on the cluster when we try to start it. Okay. So live data looks like it's there. Should we try Nats?
Yeah, that's probably our best bet here.
5.0.
Okay. I just say when performing key registration.
Yep.
Register key. Okay. Yes. Ooh. Before 2010, 1604.
Yep.
Okay. 1604. Okay. And okay. Ooh, initialization of electric control unit unsuccessful. Steering is already unlocked.
Yeah.
Power switch, ignition switch is on position, or mobilizer code pin is wrong. Steering in case steering is unlocked, touch OK to continue operation. In case the mobilizer pin is wrong, let's see, okay. So insert the key into the slot.
In there.
It's in there. Without depressing brake pedal, press the push button. So we're going to manually do that.
Yep. And
turn the ignition switch to the on position. So let's try that. All right. So with the test light, we're going to manually push the
key lights on.
Nothing on the button.
Key light went off.
Let's see, what if I press it again? So the key light's on when I push the button.
Okay.
Okay, so button's released. Just press OK.
Press OK. Communicating, please wait. Of course, at this point, the ignition should be on.
Yeah, and then it says communication error.
Yeah, so we still have power supply issues to places. We should have ignition on at this point.
Okay, well,
that's what I thought.
So we're getting somewhere.
Yeah. But we know we have an electronic steering lock state that's incorrect actually for the position because it should be locked.
It should be locked. Yeah.
We have ignition switch that's faulty.
Right.
And we have an unregistered BCM in the vehicle.
So, okay.
And we have additional power ground problems. Nice.
Nice. And lots of water. All right, so right now we're stuck that Nats is unhappy because the steering is unlocked and it wants it to be locked to do anything with the registration. And what's up with our steering lock there, Keith?
The steering lock is, if I can touch this connector again, I can show you. Let me just, there we go. You can't really see it, but it's full of water. I undid the connector and it leaked water out of the connector.
Oh, okay, so the steering lock is probably saturated.
Full of water.
Yeah, so that's not promising. So this car seems like it's a losing battle here. There's too much water everywhere. I don't know, we can poke around with the steering lock, but we're getting to the point where
we have to bypass button, bypass steering lock.
Yeah, too many broken parts.
Unregistered BCM, and we don't know if we have all the right original parts either.
Exactly. Too many variables, too many pokies. You know, this still leaks water, so even if we fix it, it's still going to be a fishbowl.
Yeah, it's actively ingressing water.
Okay, so we won't spend too much more time on it, but if we find something interesting, we'll let you guys know. Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed the battle with the wet beached whale Infinity on that one. It was a lost cause. So that car, that customer, was on my waiting list for a while, and he's located basically right next door to the conference center where the Super Saturday event was being held. And I'm like, hey, perfect opportunity to diagnose a car, work with some fellow brilliant technicians. You saw Keith and Keith, they are top of the field, you know. We had a blast, absolute amazing time. And end of the day, I told the owner, sorry man, this thing, even if we get it running, it's still basically a flood car. That thing had so much water inside. You saw it was like all the green crusties. The water will keep evaporating and causing more and more corrosion. So even if you fix the water leaks, those green crusties, they will keep wreaking havoc on that car for the rest of its life. So I told him, cut your losses, flush this toilet, get yourself something a little more reliable. But as far as training events go, I really highly recommend, if you have the opportunity, to attend these live training events. Anything from local training seminars to these bigger regional ones. Like this year I went to a Super Saturday, which just happened in Philadelphia, and the ASTE conference, which was down in North Carolina. You get to meet fantastic instructors, you know, networking with fellow technicians. It's a great experience all around. So highly recommend going to these training events. And special thanks to Keith Perkins and Keith DeFazio for tagging along and making this diagnosis. It was just fun. We were having a great time there, even though the car still, you know, was a beached whale at the end of the day. I learned a lot about, you know, the EEPROM, the trainers there. They had the whole setup at the conference center, and we gave them the old BCM, which was cooked. They said that one was completely fried. They couldn't even get any data off of it. It would have been nice if we could just transfer the data from the old one into the new one, but that was not a possibility. So they said, if you can bring us, you know, a good key, we can manually put the key ID into the BCM, which would bypass all the, you know, security stuff. You wouldn't have to program it on the car. Also, you know, that ended up not happening. So anyways, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.